Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me. If you're joining me live, please say hi. Just wanted to jump on here really fast and talk about some stuff that I'm working on in the future and stuff that has shifted for me in the way that I train and the way that I see things. Hi, Janaea. Hi, Megan. So I know that I ramble on about those damn nervous systems, but I want to make sure that if anyone's watching this video, either now or the replay, that they really understand what the heck I'm talking about. So super fast, sympathetic nervous system is that fight or flight. What happens viscerally in your body when you are in that fight or flight mode is that the blood rushes to the extremities. It goes away from your digestive system, it goes away from your brain, it goes away from anything that would be supporting longevity, sustainability in your life. Healing, any of that goes to the side so that you can run or fight or survive. Parasympathetic nervous system is rest, relaxation, restore. So your body goes into homeostasis, your body pumps the blood where it needs to go. It restores that balance so that you can heal, that you can restore the things that have been broken down during the day, etc., etc. Why is that important? It's important because the entire way I train now is revolving around that. Mostly because horses and people and all the other things cannot learn when they are in a state of stress or in a state of fight or flight or in that sympathetic nervous system. Mostly because you're surviving, your brain is not set up to help you learn things. Because when you're trying to not die, you're not learning. So that is such an important piece for yourself in general. Hi, Alicia. When you start to work with your horses, when you start to check in with your own emotions, how you feel about stuff, you have to remember that piece. If you are in a state of stress, you cannot learn, you cannot be creative, you cannot think to your fullest capacity. If you are worried, have anxiety, have fear, have anything that would cause your body to go into that place. What makes your body go into that place? What makes your body go into that place is the thoughts that you think about whatever situation you're going into. So what does this have to do with horse training and this topic specifically today? When I used to train, I'd start a lot of horses. I always had problem horses. When I used to train, I was really in the mindset of I want to make these horses very safe for these people. And the way that I'm going to do that is that I'm going to show them that when they do the things that I don't want them to do or I don't deem as safe for their human people that are going to be interacting with them, I'm going to leave pressure on until maybe they get lucky enough to stop for a moment and I'll take it off. I'm not saying this is completely wrong. I'm saying that it's not the most effective way. It's the way I did it for 15 years. And I think that I produced some pretty nice horses over those 15 years or I wouldn't still be doing it. But what I look back now is that those are the horses that I get into training that some piece of them is now gone. And they're shut down. They are like robots. Their personalities at that point somewhat disappear. Lesson horses that you see that like go round and round and round and round. Don't get me wrong, therapeutic horses, anything in that genre that are taking care of people that maybe are not that aware, they go to that place for survival. They shut down because anything beyond that is going to be too hard for them to deal with. Now, I don't want you to go around thinking that every horse that is in a therapeutic program or a lesson program is like abuse. I wholeheartedly believe that animals pick the job they've come here to do and are more than capable of handling it however they need to handle it. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying to feel sad for all these horses. I'm saying the state that they're in is that catatonic state because they are constantly dealing with situations and scenarios that they're going to be taking pressure that's not going to be released at the right time. They're going to have situations where people are bringing in tons of emotion that it's not going to be managed properly. And so the horses have to do whatever they have to do to get there, right? So back to what I was even talking about to begin with. The horses that I had started before, I know I started my own horse first. And he turned out okay, but I can look back obviously now and see where the major holes were. The second horse that I started was this little Arab, and I wanted so bad to make him a safe horse for his owner because she was older. She was my first professional client as far as horse training went, and I was like, okay, what do I know? I know that what I don't want this horse to ever do is spook and run off with her, because how horrible would that be for my first horse that I had ever started? Actually, that's a lie. The first horse that I ever tried to start was this little Mustang that bucked off my client like 6 or 7 times or something outrageous, and I could not get that thing to stop bucking. We actually sent it, and it went to be a very successful saddle bronc horse where they bred her. And anyways, that was the first horse I tried to start. Second horse was Durango. And like I said, I wanted to make sure in my mind, what's the worst thing that could happen? This horse could buck with the lady. He could run off with her. And so I said, okay, what am I going to do to make sure that I balance that out and make sure that never happens to her? I'm just going to desensitize the shit out of it. Okay, I'm going to make sure that it is not afraid of anything. I got tarps. I got the flag, like all day long. Okay. What I didn't know how to do at that point was read the horse and what type of horse it was and what it actually needed to balance it out. Okay, the horse was an Arab, but he wasn't your typical Arab. He was, and I say typical because I had an Arab, I had a quarter horse Arab, and he would go from quarter horse to like Arab, and it was a very, very different situation. So he wasn't super flighty to begin with. He wasn't super emotional. He was actually pretty chill. What I did with him is I shut him down. Like, I shut him the fuck down. I did all the things that I probably didn't need to do because I wanted to be sure that he was never, ever, ever, ever going to do anything bad to his owner. Well, what happened was, because he was getting so much of this stimulus and so much of this stuff, and I was going so overboard with it, and I would do it to the point where he would move a little bit, but I was like, he was never freed up to go forward. I never got his emotions up and brought him back down. I only ever kept it even keel. So here's a huge thing for my clients that take horses home that are worried that they're going to get afraid, because it's the same thing that I did when I first started out. It was this idea of, I want my horse to be calm. I want him to be calm. I want him to be calm. Everything needs to stay quiet and calm all the time. Even if the flag goes, I want you to stay calm. What I didn't do was let him practice being up. Okay, that's a huge thing, because the thing that I was trying to do was make him not afraid of anything, but what I needed to do was teach him emotional regulation and what to do when he was afraid of stuff. This goes for people too. So I'm talking about horses right now, but it's about you too. So instead of thinking that you're going to create an environment where nothing is ever scary, nothing is ever hard, and nothing ever gets you worried or whatever, instead of doing that for our horses or thinking we can do it for ourselves, you need to remember it's the emotional regulation. It is the skill set to understand, what can I do when I am in this stress state that is going to bring me back into a place where I'm not panicking. I'm not going into that sympathetic nervous system where I can't actually come up with a regular solution, or my horse can't actually think of what's actually going on, instead of just going straight into flight or straight into that survival mode. So it's what we do as humans, and it's what our horses do. So going back to that first horse that I had, I would flag him, the tarps, man, I could hang whatever the heck I wanted off of that horse, but I never ever intentionally brought his emotions up to teach him that he could regulate and bring himself back down. What did that create? It created a horse that was sticky as shit. It created a horse that didn't want to move. He never wanted to move. And I think that's what happens to people too when you're trying to create this environment where, how can I control everything? Anything that I look around that I can control, I will, because that's going to create a sense of certainty for me. And if I have certainty, then I am safe. Okay, that is a belief that a lot of people have. So with this horse, it was like he didn't want to move. He was shut down. He was like, I'm going to go away because all this stuff is always happening. She's never giving me time to process it. She's never giving me space to go up and actually bring myself back down. It's always just, and so I get on. He doesn't want to go anywhere. So mission accomplished. I shut that horse down hard. So then it was like, oh God, I have to go out of the round pen. I couldn't even get the horse to trot. Take him out of the round pen into the main arena. Couldn't get him to trot in the main arena. And then what I get is I have an amazing trainer that I used to work alongside of, Lynn Wool. She's amazing. She's local. If you guys are local and you want a dressage trainer, love her. She helped me so much when I was early on in my career. And so she would go in the arena and she would trot around, and then I would pack this horse behind her horse and like try to hop on the train, you know. And so that was the thing. It was like I created this such a controlled environment that this horse really believed if I just need to stay right here, I'm shut down. He was kind of like a little robot. But what happened was he would be cruising, and we did get him to the point where he was more forward and whatever else, and he didn't stay that way. But he was that horse that would cruise along, and then all of a sudden he would spook at shit, and he'd squirt out from, you know, sideways, and you were like, oh, Amanda, I see you. I'm talking about Durango. He would cruise and then spook at random things, right? It was because I never ever took him up to teach him how to regulate, to bring himself back down. So he would go around in this state of, I'm just gonna go, I'm shut down, I'm not looking at much. And then something would happen that he didn't know how to deal with, and it would scare him. So that's what happens to us as people. We go around like we're gonna control this, we're gonna control that person. Nope, that can't happen. Nope, you can't feel that way. And you're constantly in this active state of controlling your environment. And when something happens that you don't expect, that's out of your control, all of a sudden your entire world fucking falls apart. The key is to not try that. And this has totally gone off of what I was actually going to talk about, but it ties into yesterday with almost every client I had. And it was all around control. And it was all around, how can I create so much certainty that I don't have to worry about anything, which is a total false illusion. And I don't know if because I was helping everybody with it yesterday that it sent me into that place. And it wasn't so much for me, how do I control everything? Because that's not really my thing. I am definitely a recovering control-holic, certainty-holic. And so yesterday, it was less about what can I do to control things. It was more about, I feel so uncertain, and I'm so vulnerable, and I'm so in a place where I'm just letting everything happen like it's supposed to happen, and I'm not going to worry about anything. And it doesn't mean that's a comfortable place. That vulnerability does not mean it's comfortable, but it's an actual visceral sensation in your body. And then I couldn't tell if I was borderlining, I'm so vulnerable and it's so freeing, or I'm so vulnerable and I'm maxed out and I think I'm going to vomit. Like, it was very fine line between the two. And I was at lunch with a couple of my clients, and it kind of hit me, and I was like, I don't even feel good. And it wasn't the hamburger. It was that I feel like, because I had so much of that for so long, that I was like, am I sick? Like, I feel sick. And so what I had to do is go back into gratitude. I was like, I can't pull myself out of this place of, do I feel really good or do I feel really stressed out? Because now I can't tell. And I started to kind of mind fuck myself a little bit. So remembering that, like, even though I have clients that are doing the work, I have friends and coaches and amazing people around me that are constantly thinking about this stuff, constantly focusing on this. How do I get myself back into balance? How do I create from a place of, abundance and not scarcity? How do I, remember how to regulate myself and my horse? Because we're talking about horses, not us, because nothing we think or feel has anything to do with how our horses behave at all. How do I get myself back from there? Because it's not something that's ever going to go away. You're not ever going to be able to control the things your horse spooks at, the things your horse is sensitive to. You're not ever going to be able to manipulate the environment enough in your personal life or in your horse's life that's ever going to get them to a place where they don't have to worry about stuff. You have to teach them how to regulate themselves. How do I regulate my own emotions when I feel myself going into that place? What am I going to do? Am I going to have a plan? My plan is that gratitude, because it's the easiest, fastest thing for me to go to. Even if it feels like ridiculous in that moment, you can always find something. And I'm talking as simple as, I'm glad my heart is beating. I'm glad my lungs are working, and then from glad, you go, I'm so grateful that, and you kind of go on this 2-minute rampage is what I actually gave one of my clients to do. I had a lot of clients have a very emotional day yesterday, and it was we were just going to try to do trailer loading, you guys. I actually ended up with clients sitting in the trailer, me holding the horse and having a coaching session, because what I did also realize is that the people that were having trailer loading issues were the people that were having control issues. And control going in the direction of even getting on a plane, you know, your environment day to day. Why are you afraid to fly? Well, you have complete surrender of control, you know, and a lot of the people that have trail loading issues also have issues with claustrophobia and airplanes. But what I figured that it wasn't anything to do with the thing. It's not about the trailer for the horses. It's not about the airplane for the people. It's a sense of loss of control. I cannot control the situation. And it was bringing on mass amounts of anxiety for people. And so the trailer triggers the stuff for the horses. It triggers the stuff for the people, but it's really just trudging up the stuff that you need to work deeper at. The beauty of these animals is that they highlight that stuff for us. When you have a horse with a trail loading issue, I've stopped fixing those issues for people. I've stopped saying, here, I'll take your horse for a month. I'll get it loading and you can have it back. I've stopped doing that because I've recognized what it is that these horses were given to you as a gift. The one thing you cannot do in a healthy, balanced way is force a horse into a trailer without causing some type of repercussion later. It's either going to make the next time you do it even harder, or they're going to get hurt. They're going to, you know, whatever. So I had to look at what is the actual issue here. It is not this horse getting into the trailer. I had one client bring her horse up to me while I was still doing a session. The horse was dripping in sweat. Okay, the horse has been here for 2 months. I posted videos with this horse. The horse is chill. Okay, the horse is so relaxed. But what happens is 2 weeks out from them going to their new barn or leaving, they start to kind of panic. Like, I'm not going to be in this supportive environment. I can't control the environment. This environment here is very safe. We're very, very supportive here. Everyone mostly is doing a lot of work. So the conversations that are had even in the arena are less about horse training, more personal. But when people go to ride their horses, lo and behold, the behavioral issues, the performance stuff is not really an issue. But what I had was this horse walk up dripping in sweat. And I was like, whoa. I was like, what is happening? The onslaught of a lot of big events happening for her. She's moving, and then it trickled into control. So my point in this is, it's not about controlling your environment. It's not about the trailer. It's not about the new barn. It's not about the airplane, the closet you're going to get locked in. Okay, it's about, what do I do when this emotion comes up? And how do I actively have a plan to deal with it before it comes up? And how do I have a practice that practices it before it sneaks up on me? So all the groundwork that we do with the horses, all the stuff that we do at home is that. It's practicing emotional regulation so that you can handle these situations that come up, the uncertainty that comes up, because there is nothing you can do about that. The only thing you can do about it is create a different way to think about it, change your perspective. So if I had that first horse again, if I had it to do all over again, I would recognize that he was already in a space where he was timid and wanted to be shut down. I would bring his emotions up by using the flag, actually, or whatever I could use to bring that emotion up. And then I would let him sit, and I would sit with him in a non-emotional state, let him pick up on my energy. Those mirror neurons that they have are heightened in horses. That is why they're so good at empathy. That's why, for survival purposes, they pick up on each other's energy like that. That's why they pick up on our energy like that. And use that to your benefit. So I would bring his emotions up, and then I would sit quietly with him and let him feel that adrenaline, that cortisol, and all of that pumping. And then let him realize, I can just stand here and come back down and recognize that nothing bad happened when my emotions were up. That is the key. When my emotions were up, it did not mean I was going to die. It just meant I needed to slow down and look at what was going on. You can create new neural pathways in yourself and in your horses by doing that. But the most important thing is the up. The up is important. Do not avoid the stress. Do not avoid, having the excitement, because if you don't ever go into that space in a controlled environment, you can't show them that they are okay. So when you're out on the trail, or you're at the new barn, or you're at the show, and their emotions go up like that, they recognize that as a trigger to slow down and analyze what's actually happening, not go into immediate fight or flight. That is the key. The emotions going up is huge, and I have so many people that leave me and go, I just want to stay calm and quiet, and but they skip that part, and then their horse's training starts to digress, which then fucks with them mentally, and they're going, oh my gosh, I'm screwing my horse up, oh my gosh, this isn't working, and then they go back into this spiral of where they came from. Doing this work is like, you guys got to go to the gym. You can't go to the gym one time and expect your six-pack to stay, or even create a six-pack in the first session. So when people come to me, I just need one session to clear me out and really think, okay, I can show you, you can get a taste, but unless you stay consistent for enough time for this stuff to really shift and become something that's in you, that you're willing to be disciplined to stay in this thought process, disciplined enough to stay with practices that keep you emotionally regulated. If not for yourself and your family, do it for your horse. Because the fact that these horses have such a high level of empathy neurons, those mirror neurons, they pick up on us immediately. And I know you guys have seen enough studies at this point where these horses are remembering people's faces and they are attaching that emotion to that picture. And then when the actual person comes up, they're monitoring what the horse is actively feeling in their body. And it's often. So when they see you coming, and you are always in this like chaos state, whether you recognize it or not, because most people don't even know they're there. When they recognize, they see, that is exactly what happens to their body. They go, oh, we need to go into fight or flight for some survival reason that I'm not totally sure of, but my human is telling me that. So here we go. So then what do you get? You get, not only are you pumping this cortisol and adrenaline into your tissue and stiffening and hardening your body and creating disconnect in your own health and your own well-being, creating chronic illness, creating chronic pain in your own body, you are then transferring that to your horse. So when you have a horse that is constantly lame, when you have a horse that has these huge health issues where I'm near death, like episodes at the animal hospital, or you have horses that are going neurological, multiple horses going neurological, you have horses with ulcers, but you're doing all the right things, okay? It is us, and I'm wholeheartedly believing that. And my entire mission this year is I've had so many conversations with chiropractors, vets that are saying, well, yeah, that I see it all the time. I have so many stories of this. But the fascinating thing is that no one's saying anything. So my next few guests on my podcast that I'm batching out are chiropractors that have actual stories, are vets that have actual stories about this happening. So if you're not going to give your self, your family, your coworkers, whatever else, the benefit of having this emotional regulation practice within yourself, then do it for your horse. Do it for your pocketbook, because the shit gets expensive. And I just know that our bodies are set up in a way where we can handle the stress. Our digestive systems are set up completely different from our horses. Our horses are meant to be out grazing. They're meant to be out moving. They're meant to be interacting with each other. Most of the time they're locked in a stall. They're fed grain and they're fed this diet twice a day. Very unlike what should naturally be happening in their bodies. And then you compile it on us bringing our stress and crazy into their life. So then you're amplifying the stress that they're already environmentally being put in and bringing your shit in. So then they're pumping that. And why do you think so many horses have ulcers? Like, we don't have ulcers as much because our bodies are set up different, but we're putting the shit on our horses and their bodies are being affected by it. And I completely believe that. I have no scientific shit to go off of. But like I said, this whole year is going to be focused on finding that stuff. And if I don't find it, I'm going to create that finding. And I have enough resources at this point now where I know that I can do that. I don't even know how long I blabbed on, but I definitely have to get going because I have to talk to our beautiful Lucinda Stryker is going to be in our masterclass. So I need to prepare for that. But hopefully what I blabbed on about, something will resonate with you guys and make you look at things a little bit differently. Search for different ways you can actually get that accomplished for your horse. Hi, you guys. Everyone's watching. Hi, Megan. Hi, Janaea. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Craig. Hi, Kristen. Hey, Josh. Hi, Lindsay, Liz, Francine, Sarah, Maya. Wow, there were so many of you today. I was so oblivious. Amanda, Durango. Kim, Elise, all of you guys. Yes, definitely control and certainty is such a false illusion, and it just is such a prison. It's not stand that for people. What do you do to bring a horse up? Depends on the horse. So if I have a horse, I find stuff that can arise that emotion. Some of them it's just having the whip. Some of them it's a flag. Some of them it's, you know, a tarp, whatever it can be. Bring their emotions up, but don't do it to desensitize them. Don't do it until they stop moving. I bring their emotions up, and then I trigger them, and then I stop in the middle of it. And I let them have enough time, which is what people have a really hard time doing, is just standing there until you see them switch over nervous systems. What does it look like when they switch over nervous systems? They'll start to lick and chew. That's a beginning of the process. Their bottom lip will start to droop. Their eyes will start to soften. Their ears will start to soften. What I tell people to focus on when you're waiting for that is only how you feel. Don't focus on what they're doing and what you're waiting for. Don't focus on, hey, I really want my horse to come and switch over nervous systems. Only focus on how you feel. The faster you can get yourself into a space of being really grounded, like I'll have clients, okay, feel the sand underneath your feet, do box breath, or just breathe in light and let it fill your entire body. And when you open your eyes, you look up and your horse is boop right there with you. So it's the speed at which you can get horses to switch over. It's how fast can you recover from situations that stress you out. Okay, how long do you stay in that stress situation? If you're a person that's experiencing anxiety on a regular basis, you're literally having your body deteriorate slowly but surely. There are people that have a belief that they have anxiety, but they use it, right? I use that energy for good. That's one level up from being a victim of it. But next level is you get rid of it, because there's a belief that is creating that anxiety for you. You do not need anxiety. You do not need that to be successful. You do not need that to thrive. You do not need to create energy that anything really amazing comes from sustainably by using anxiety. And I know a lot of people, a lot of athletes, a lot of people that do life like that. Oh yeah, I'm stressed out, but I fucking love it and I use it. That's great. What would happen if you could come from a place of enthusiasm without the visceral reaction of anxiety coursing through your body? Knowing that anxiety is fear of what is in the future, and that's mostly a control thing. You can't control it, so therefore you're going to be worried about it. There is a much healthier, sustainable way to deal with your anxiety, and it's not to use it. It's to get rid of it. And there are ways to do that, but that's a totally different video, and I don't even know how long I've been talking. Okay, I love you guys. If you have any questions or comments or things that came up for you, throw them in the comments. I'll come back here and I will answer them, and I appreciate you guys for joining me on this nice early Monday morning, and I will see you guys later.